Have you ever given your whole heart to something, worked with discipline, prayed with sincerity, stayed honest in your actions, and yet felt that life was still holding something back from you? You may have wondered, what am I missing? Why is it that some people seem to rise suddenly, as if helped by an unseen hand, while others struggle for years despite their best efforts? This question quietly troubles the human heart, especially when effort alone does not bring peace or fulfillment. There comes a moment in every sincere seeker's life when human strength feels limited. The mind becomes tired, the heart becomes heavy, and the will feels exhausted. You may push forward using discipline and determination, yet an inner emptiness remains. At such moments, a deep question arises within: is there a higher power guiding life beyond my understanding? Is there a divine force that intervenes when human effort reaches its limit? Many people believe that success, peace, or spiritual growth comes only through personal striving. While effort is essential, it is not the whole story. There is a subtler law at work, one that operates silently, gently, and lovingly. This unseen support has been spoken of by saints, sages, and realized masters throughout history. They called it grace. Grace is not dramatic or loud. It does not announce itself. It moves quietly, changing the direction of a life from within. Grace may come as unexpected strength during hardship, sudden clarity in confusion, or a calm assurance when answers are nowhere to be found. Often, we recognize its presence only after it has already transformed us. Today, we will explore this divine power, not as an abstract idea, but as a living reality that touches human life. Let us gently uncover how grace works, why it matters, and how a sincere heart can learn to receive it. Grace is one of the most misunderstood forces in human life, because it cannot be seen, measured, or controlled. Many people imagine grace as a reward given only to the chosen few, or as a miracle that appears without reason. In truth, grace is far more intimate and universal. Grace is the quiet compassion of the divine responding to the sincere call of the human soul. It is not earned through pride, nor demanded through effort alone. It flows naturally when the heart becomes open, humble, and receptive. Grace is not separate from God's love, it is the expression of that love in action. Just as sunlight falls equally on all, grace is always present, waiting to be received. Yet not everyone experiences it, because the human mind is often restless, fearful, or filled with self-will. Paramahansa Yogananda taught that grace is always flowing, but human consciousness must be tuned to receive it. A radio does not create music, it only receives what is already in the air. In the same way, the soul does not create grace, it becomes aware of it. Human effort plays an important role, but effort alone is incomplete. Effort is the act of rowing, while grace is the divine wind that moves the boat effortlessly toward its destination. Without effort, the boat remains still. Without grace, the journey becomes long and exhausting. When effort is offered sincerely, without ego or attachment, grace naturally enters and accelerates progress. Grace is often felt as inner peace rather than outer success. It may not change circumstances immediately, but it changes the one who faces them. It gives strength where there was weakness, trust where there was fear, and clarity where there was confusion. To understand grace is to recognize that life is not lived alone. A higher intelligence is always guiding, supporting, and quietly lifting the sincere soul toward truth. Human effort is noble, necessary, and deeply respected on the spiritual path. Discipline, determination, and sincere striving shape character and build inner strength. Yet there comes a point in every life when effort alone reaches its limit. The body grows tired, the mind becomes overwhelmed, and the heart feels burdened by expectation. At such moments, a person may discover a quiet truth: there are dimensions of life that cannot be conquered by willpower alone. Human effort is guided by the intellect, and the intellect is limited by past experiences, fears, and desires. No matter how intelligent or hardworking a person may be, the human mind cannot see the full picture of life. It plans, struggles, and calculates, but it does not always understand the deeper currents shaping destiny. Paramahansa Yogananda gently reminded seekers that effort without surrender often leads to tension, while effort offered to the divine brings peace. When the ego insists on controlling outcomes, effort becomes exhausting rather than uplifting. There is also the danger of pride in effort. When success comes, the ego claims ownership. When failure comes, discouragement follows. In both cases, the soul remains restless. Effort alone cannot remove fear, dissolve ego, or bring lasting inner joy. These transformations occur only when a higher power is allowed to participate in human life. Grace begins where self-importance ends. This does not mean effort should be abandoned. On the contrary, effort must be refined. True effort is doing one's best while releasing attachment to results. Yogananda taught, work with devotion, then let God decide the outcome. When effort becomes an offering rather than a demand, it aligns with a greater intelligence. At that sacred meeting point, human limitation opens the door for divine assistance, and grace quietly takes over where effort can no longer proceed. Grace rarely enters human life in dramatic or visible ways. It does not arrive with loud signs or sudden declarations. Instead, it moves gently, like a quiet dawn that slowly fills the sky with light. Most people expect divine help to appear as miracles that change outer circumstances instantly, but grace often works from within, reshaping perception before altering events. Because of its subtle nature, many experience grace without recognizing it at the moment it occurs. Grace enters when the heart becomes receptive rather than demanding. A mind filled with impatience, fear, or constant expectation leaves little space for divine guidance. When inner resistance softens, grace finds an opening. This openness may arise through humility, deep longing for truth, or even exhaustion from struggle. Often, when a person stops forcing life to obey personal plans, a wiser direction begins to reveal itself. Paramahansa Yogananda taught that surrender is not weakness, it is intelligent cooperation with divine law. Grace may appear as a sudden calm in the middle of chaos, or a clear insight that resolves long-standing confusion. It may guide a person to the right book, teacher, or conversation at precisely the right moment. Sometimes it expresses itself as strength to endure rather than power to escape. In each case, grace acts with perfect timing, though the human mind may not immediately understand its purpose. Silence plays an important role in receiving grace. When the mind becomes still through prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection, divine guidance becomes easier to perceive. In stillness, intuition awakens, and the soul begins to listen rather than speak. Grace flows most freely where there is trust instead of control. As Yogananda lovingly reminded seekers, God already knows what is best for us. When we step aside from excessive self-will, grace naturally enters and gently leads life toward harmony and truth. Devotion is one of the purest channels through which grace flows into human life. Devotion does not mean blind belief or emotional excitement, it is a steady, sincere love for truth and for the divine presence behind all life. When devotion is genuine, it softens the heart and quiets the restless mind. Paramahansa Yogananda taught that God responds not to words alone, but to the depth of feeling and sincerity behind them. A devoted heart seeks guidance rather than control. In devotion, the soul says, "Lead me," instead of "Obey me." This attitude creates inner harmony, allowing grace to act freely. When prayer becomes a conversation rather than a request list, and meditation becomes listening rather than effortful concentration, divine help begins to flow naturally. Grace responds to consistency more than intensity. A little sincere devotion offered daily opens the heart more deeply than occasional emotional extremes. Devotion also teaches patience. Grace does not always work according to human timing. The ego wants immediate answers, but the soul understands that growth unfolds gradually. Through devotion, one learns to trust divine timing without frustration. Yogananda reminded seekers that delayed answers are not refusals, they are preparations. Grace often works invisibly long before its effects become visible. When devotion is present, life itself becomes a form of prayer. Actions are performed with reverence, relationships are approached with kindness, and challenges are faced with faith. In such a state, grace does not need to be summoned, it is constantly present. Devotion aligns human consciousness with divine intelligence, creating a natural flow where guidance, strength, and peace arise spontaneously. Through devotion, grace becomes not an occasional experience, but a living companion on the spiritual journey. One of the most difficult questions a seeker faces is this: if grace is real, why does suffering exist? Pain often feels like the absence of divine help, and during hardship the heart may doubt the presence of any higher guidance. Yet Paramahansa Yogananda taught that grace is not always revealed through comfort. Very often, it works most powerfully through challenge, loss, and inner struggle. What appears as punishment to the ego may be preparation for the soul. Suffering has the ability to break rigid patterns of pride, attachment, and false security. When life moves smoothly, the ego feels self-sufficient and rarely looks beyond itself. Difficulty humbles the heart and turns attention inward. In this turning, grace finds an entrance. Grace does not cause suffering, but it uses it wisely, transforming pain into understanding and strength. Without this transformation, suffering remains only pain. With grace, it becomes growth. Grace in difficult times often appears as endurance rather than escape. It gives the soul courage to stand steady when answers are unclear. It offers peace that does not depend on circumstances. Many people discover a deeper faith not when life gives them what they want, but when they are supported through what they fear. Yogananda reminded seekers that divine love does not always remove the storm, but it teaches the soul how to walk calmly through it. When suffering softens the heart instead of hardening it, wisdom is born. Compassion deepens, patience strengthens, and attachment loosens. These inner changes are signs of grace at work. Though pain may still exist outwardly, the soul begins to feel guided rather than abandoned. In this way, suffering becomes not a sign of divine absence, but a hidden expression of divine guidance leading the soul toward greater awareness and inner freedom. Grace cannot be commanded or demanded, yet it can be gently invited into daily life. The invitation begins with sincerity. When effort is honest and the heart is open, grace responds naturally. It is not necessary to perform great rituals or extraordinary acts. Small, consistent inner attitudes create the right environment for divine help to flow. Paramahansa Yogananda emphasized simplicity, teaching that the divine responds more readily to a sincere heart than to elaborate outer forms. One of the simplest ways to invite grace is through regular moments of stillness. When the mind pauses, even briefly, it becomes receptive. Daily meditation, quiet prayer, or silent reflection allows the soul to listen rather than speak. In this listening, intuition awakens and guidance becomes clearer. Grace moves most freely in calm awareness, not in restless thought. Even a few minutes of inner silence each day can gradually change the quality of one's life. Gratitude is another powerful doorway to grace. When appreciation is offered for small blessings, the heart expands and becomes receptive to greater ones. Gratitude shifts attention from what is lacking to what is already given. Service also invites grace. When actions are performed selflessly, without expectation of reward, ego loosens its grip and divine energy flows more freely through the individual. Finally, trust is essential. Trust does not mean passive waiting, it means acting sincerely while releasing anxiety about results. Yogananda taught, "Do your duty and surrender the fruits." When life is approached with effort balanced by trust, grace quietly supports every step. Over time, one begins to feel guided rather than pressured, peaceful rather than anxious. In this balanced way of living, grace becomes not a distant concept, but a constant, living presence woven gently into everyday life. Dear seeker, as we come to the close of this reflection, remember this gentle truth: you are never walking alone. Even in moments when the path feels unclear, when effort seems heavy and answers feel distant, grace is quietly working behind the scenes. It may not always change the outer situation immediately, but it is always shaping your inner strength, awareness, and understanding. When you learn to trust this unseen guidance, life slowly begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a meaningful journey guided by a higher intelligence. Grace responds not to perfection, but to sincerity. Do your best with a calm heart, act with honesty, and offer the results to the divine. When effort is blended with faith, anxiety loosens its hold, and peace naturally arises. As Paramahansa Yogananda lovingly taught, the moment we stop insisting that life follow our limited plans, we begin to feel the support of a wisdom far greater than our own. Let this understanding stay with you as you move through your daily life. If this message resonated with you, take a moment to pause and reflect quietly. Notice where grace may already be working in your life, even in subtle ways. I invite you to share your experience in the comments, perhaps a moment when you felt guided, supported, or strengthened beyond your own effort. Your words may help another seeker who is walking a similar path. If you found value in this video, please like it and share it with someone who may need encouragement today. And I would love to hear from you. What topic would you like us to explore next? Is there a question, a challenge, or a spiritual theme you wish to understand more deeply? Write your suggestion in the comments below. Until we meet again on this journey of self-discovery and divine guidance, may peace fill your heart and grace light your path. Jai Guru Dev.